All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd also like to give double honors to my elders, bishops, and apostles of Great Millstone that do rule well. And I would like to say peace and salutations to the Lord's elect, to the hopeful elect in 1/3, and Adon Ratazah. This lesson will be edifying as well as exhorting to the sincere sheep of Yahweh Bashem El Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and Tawada Abanawa Yahweh Bashem El Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Forgive me the inspiration to do this lesson. And as the title reads, attack carnality with spirituality. Okay, attack carnality with spirituality. So ultimately, what I want to do is exhortation, how we have to be mindful and remain spiritual because you're surrounded by nothing but carnal beings. Okay, so you have to understand that and one thing that I'm learning, okay, is these people are completely carnal. All right, and I'm going to give a quick precept, and this is just going to be a quick exhortation. I literally got a jet into Babylon, but I just got some quick downtime. All right, because got to head to the plantation, and this is why we need to be delivered. Okay, we truly need to be delivered. This place is overworking us, underpaying us. Even if they're overpaying us, it still doesn't matter. We're still in Egypt. All right, we're still under carnal heathen rulership, and ultimately we need to be delivered. All right, so let me just sum it all up. Okay, right here. This is Psalms 110:3. It says, thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. So right now, all right, even though you have the spiritual power of faith, you have the spiritual power of hope, you have the spiritual power of prayer, you have the spiritual power in calling in the name, right now you're still dealing with people around you on a carnal level. And you have to understand that. You want to know why people treat you the way they do? Because they're carnal. You want to know why people walk away and don't believe in this? Because they're carnal. You want to know why you don't get the respect and the honor and this and that? It's because they're carnal. And ultimately because the glory goes to Yahweh Bashem El Shai first. And then when it trickles down unto us as the head, okay, what you're dealing with ultimately is because people are carnal. And one thing that I also learned is people are so carnal. I now understand why it says they take your kindness for weakness. I've actually experienced this more than once, where sometimes we lay it on too thick. All right, we're too supplanting. We carry ourselves in such a spiritual, wise, humble manner that you will actually have carnal mortal heathens, as Jake would say, try you. And you have to understand that. And that's what this lesson is about. Excuse me. And that's what this lesson is about, because that's what I'm learning. Okay, that people around you are carnal. They don't care. They're not spiritual. They're not considerate. Okay, they don't even want to hear your gripe. They don't want to hear your concern. Let me get that. Jeremiah 5. All right, real quick. Or Jeremiah 15:5. All right, you listen. I want to drill it into your head. These people are carnal. Jeremiah 15:5. Jeremiah 15:5. It says, for who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem, O Jake, O you, O hopeful elect, O man of the Lord? Okay, who's gonna have? Ain't nobody here to have pity on you, brother. Okay, and that's one thing that I had to learn, and the scriptures already tell us. But one thing that I'm also understanding is a lot of precepts that we know and we read and we bring out, and also apply. You have to reapply. Okay, so you have to remind yourself at times, oh yeah, that's right. Ain't nobody got pity on me. They're carnal. They're not set up right now. It's the heathen captivity. So you have to attack these situations in the spirit with hope, with faith, all right, with patience, with suffering, okay? It says, for who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem, or who shall bemoan thee, or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? Yeah, that's actually rare. Actually someone say, how's your day? How are you doing? How are thou? They may ask as the cliche term, like, hey, how's it going? They don't really care, though. That's what you need to understand. You need to attack these people's carnality with spirituality. Do not give in to their carnal, reprobate, routine dialect or dialogue, okay? That's what you're surrounded by. You're surrounded by carnal beings. You're surrounded by people that are going to believe the news. You're surrounded by people that are going to take heed to what experts say. All right. You have to understand that people are carnal. They're not ready until breaking news is on their television. This is what we're dealing with. Okay. This is the reality of what we're involved in. Now, let me finish this off. And I got 2 precepts and then I'm out. It's the Psalms 110:3. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. Yep. And the beautiness of holiness from the womb of the morning, thou has the dew of thy youth. Now, this is ultimately going to be for us in the kingdom, where we're going to have the dew of thy youth. We're going to be, completely God man mode. But right now, you are just black. Okay. It's like, it reminds me of that scene. I think it's called like American Gods, but it's with Orlando Brown. He was like, they're white and you're black. But that's really what it is right now. You're not going to get the recognition. You're not going to get, how you feel inside is not going to be reciprocated from people around you. Now, there's moments, there's glimmers, there's situations, but for the most part, you are in a carnal captivity, even though the powers that be attack you, even on the left-hand side spiritually. But this is a carnal captivity, and you need to understand that. Do not walk around thinking that people are going to understand you in the spirit, okay? So this is why you conduct yourself different. You conduct yourself in a manner that a carnal being can accept. Majority of the women we deal with, what are they? They're carnal. Your boss, carnal. Co-workers, carnal. Family members, carnal, okay? Getting pulled over, carnal. You need to understand that. Just because you may not have a gun and you wouldn't hurt them, that doesn't mean they're not going to treat you like you are a threat and you do have a gun. You got to understand your enemy, okay? You got to understand your opponent. You got to understand what you're involved in. You got to understand who you're dealing with. And you're dealing with a very carnal base people. And when you think about that, when you actually think about that, you have the advantage, okay? Where I have a job right now where being seen is more important than hard work. And as a spiritual man, that was something I had to learn. I'm like, oh, fake it till you make it. So, you learn these things in this walk. There's a lot of things you learn reading the room. So I just want to express, how you got to accept the fact of what your opponent's attributes are. And one of your opponent's attributes is carnality. Okay, this is why Esau treats all Jakes the same, as a threat, as a criminal. Stereotypes. When people walk around with a mindset of stereotypes, that's carnality. Now let's get into this. This is 1 Corinthians 2. 1 Corinthians 2, and let's start at 13. It says, which things also we speak, not in the words which man's wisdom teaches. See, man's wisdom is carnality. Man needs to explain how he got here, and carnally, he says it's been billions or millions of years old. See, but then when you add in the doctrine and the true understanding that we have of this truth, they look at you like you're crazy. Why do people look at you like you're crazy? Because they're carnal. You telling someone that you can fly, okay, 1 is not wise, and 2, they can't believe it because they're carnal, okay? This is one thing that I want to keep emphasizing, all right? You are in a carnal captivity that you need to attack spiritually, all right? It says, but which the Holy Spirit teacheth, comparing spiritual things with spiritual. So these people are not equipped, okay, to apply spiritual things with spiritual. You're dealing with people that don't even believe there's a God. You're dealing with people that don't even believe that there's, as they would say, ghosts. Okay, this is the level of the captivity you're involved in. You are in a base captivity. Let me read this real quick. This is Daniel. I got a jet. This is Daniel. So you can use this to your advantage. You can get them with guile. You can lie. You can use Babylon to protect you. That's what I do. I use Babylon to protect me. Okay. You dealing with something at work? Well, I found out certain things that I have the rights of. And when you apply those things, the carnal man has to accept it. The carnal man is in the box. The spiritual man is free. Okay. The carnal man is in the box. All right. The spiritual man is free. So learn how to attack carnality with spirituality. If someone's mad or angry, your job is not to reciprocate being mad or angry. That's where your spiritual mind kicks in and goes, okay, real quick, demon, let me de-escalate. Let me this, let me pray. Let me ooh. See? You got to think quick like that. Okay? You're attacking carnality with spiritually. And the first step is what? Praying in a carnal situation. What did Azariah do when he was thrown in a carnal physical flame? He prayed. Okay, you gotta attack carnality with spiritually. Now this ain't don't be simple. You're not a carpet. No one wants us to actually physically have to deal with something. In that essence, that's completely different. But this point is your day-to-day of carnality. You have to react to it different. Daniel's 4:17, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. So you're dealing with base men, okay? This is why Jake always can get over on Esau. They easily accept lies, rumors, threats, things of that nature. This is why you deal with people that want to threaten you, spread rumors, spread lies, because they're trying to defeat you carnally. Think about this. Now, of course, outside of the elite and their left-hand wizardry, on your day-to-day, you are mainly dealing with people trying to overcome you carnally. So you cannot allow carnality to frighten you, fear you, throw you off. At the end of the day, you know that the man's goings are of the Lord. You know that the end was declared for the beginning. You know that you'd rather fear Yahweh Shemel Shai than man. You'd rather obey Yahweh Shemel Shai than man. Okay, and why fear the words of a sinful man? But you're dealing with sinful carnal men and women. Okay, so attack it in the spirit. Don't reciprocate it in the flesh. That's what they are. They're in the flesh. And remember, the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. So it says, but the natural man, but the carnal man, but the fleshly man, but the mortal man receiveth not the things of the spirit of Yahweh, for they are foolishness unto him. So you trying to get rights because you're an Israelite, or you trying to tell a woman to do this because it ain't gonna work, Jack. It ain't gonna, that bitch carnal, excuse me, all right, for saying in that manner, all right, but I'm just being real, as they would say. But and I'm speaking to myself first too. It's like you have to understand these things. Like, you can say you're a god, but that don't mean that they're gonna treat you like one. You can say that you're this, but that don't mean they're gonna handle you like that, or they will, and then it falls away. You're in Babylon still. You're still in Babylon. You're still in a carnal captivity. It's still physical slavery. Okay, it's mental. It's mental. But you're still in a carnal captivity. All right. This is why everyone plays costumes. Troopers, cops, judges, doctors. Everyone has a title. Everyone has a costume. So learn to play the game with them without being taken by it. Learn to play the game of Babylon. Learn to play the game of Babylon, man. Okay. You're in a carnal captivity. Attack it spiritually and supplant these people. Stop taking everything so serious with them too. It says, let me see here. It says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the spirit of Yahweh, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. This is why when you tell Esau he's going to slavery, what's he say? Oh, do it now. Do it right now, motherfucker. Because they're carnal creatures, man. They're creatures. It's time to tap into God mode. Okay, spiritual God mode is needed for you to continue in this walk, because if not, you're going to allow the carnality to win. It says, but he that is spiritual judges all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. Exactly. We ain't judged by these people. Now, they may act as judges, they may accuse, they may this or that, but who can lay charge of the Lord's elect? You cannot fall victim to the belief factor of their carnal, vain world. We're living in a carnal, vain world. Let them have it. Let them have it. It doesn't matter what these people think. At the end of the day, it's what Yahweh Shemel Shai decides. Even in the midst of people pointing, laughing at you, saying this about you, so-called taking an L. Well, Isaiah 57 says that righteous men perish and no man lays it to heart. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people think. They're carnal. Okay? They're carnal. And every time you may slip up or you may not say the right answer, guess what? Tomorrow's a new day, and they're carnal. So then now the new day, when you apply it, they believe it. You're dealing with low vibrational people, beings, humans. They're carnal, okay? They believe anything. They believe they landed on the moon. You got people believing crazy stuff. So just know how to handle it. Be spiritual. Don't be fleshly. Be spiritual. Be happy. Look at me. I'm happy. You know that song. Romans 8, real quick, then I got to end this. Romans 8:5. It says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh. See? So if you're in the flesh, then Satan can use a woman to get you. Your enemy can use a woman to get you. This is how easily man is overcome, okay? Man can be taken out by a flood. Man is so primitive, it's not even funny. So you got to learn how to handle these primitive beings moving forward. You got to assess the situation in the spirit instead of reacting back to them because they're in the flesh. You can't react back to them within the flesh because they're in the flesh, but you're in the spirit. See? But they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. See? Yeah. That's how you got to act. You hear them? Okay, yep, okay, yep. All right. But in the back of your head, you know what's up, because the carnal mind is enmity. The carnal mind is enmity against Yahweh, for it is not subject to the law of Yahweh, neither indeed can be. See? So then they that are in the flesh cannot please Yahweh. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the spirit, if so be that the spirit of Yahweh dwell in you. Now, if any man have not the spirit of a Mashiach, he is none of his. See? So at the end of the day, you are dealing with a carnal captivity. We understand that the elites use the left-hand side, but the most part, your day-to-day is a carnal captivity. You're dealing with carnal people that are expecting themselves to die. They only believe that they live once. So you got to start using that to your advantage. Right. Oh, right. These are just humans. Oh, it's like you're dealing with a dog. You're dealing with a cat. You're dealing with animals. You're dealing with brute beasts. So tame them. But you got to do it in the spirit. And sometimes it might be by letting them think that they got the advantage, letting them think that they got one over you. See? Because at the end of the day, the end has been declared from the beginning. So let's just let it play out. Let it play out. Okay. So I just want to do a real quick lesson. You know, it's just learning how to handle your day-to-day with life and peace, being more in the spirit, being more mindful, not being caught up with their drama, their vanity, their mortality. Okay. So I just want to do a real quick exhortation before I step out of Babylon, and I'm applying it too. I'm being mindful too, you know. And when I think about these things, I think about the scripture where it says, when you come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. So you're going to be tempted by carnal beings, you know, and you got to remain in the spirit. You got to almost spiritually smile like, okay, here's my opportunity to remain in the spirit and not react in the flesh. That's a title too. Remain in the spirit so you don't react in the flesh. So just want to do that real quick lesson. I pray that it was edifying, encouraging, and enlightening. You know, just having our spiritual swivel on. Okay, remaining spiritually mindful. A lot of carnality is going out. These people remain in the flesh, so they're going to react in the flesh. So just apply wisdom in the midst of that chaos, in the midst of that carnality, so that you can remain in the mindset of life and peace. All right. I just want to say, call halal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to my elders, bishops, and apostles of Great Millstone that do well. Peace and salutations to the Lord's elect. With that being said, shalom.